We've just been doing Radio 1 Club here from North Middlesex Hospital. Can you tell us how your career in radio first started?
Well, it started a long time ago, about 12 years ago in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I was out there as a musician, and then I stayed for 4 years and got all sorts of experience that way.
Yeah.
And then went on to the pirate ships.
Yeah. I think that's probably when you first came into the public eye here in Britain. How did you sort of first get onto Radio London?
I applied for a job. I applied with Caroline a couple of times, and they turned me down. And then I got one on some holiday relief on London for ostensibly 3 weeks to start with, and then I stayed for 2 years.
What were your days on the pirates really like? Were they sort of quite
hard,
adventurous?
especially in the winter. It was quite hard living because you often didn't see anybody, and if the tender didn't come out, well, your mail didn't come out, and your booze didn't come out, and your food didn't come out. So sometimes it was tough, but generally, especially in the summer, it was quite pleasant.
Any particular sort of memories from those seafaring days?
Oh, I think fishing off the side and cooking it. My first time of attempting fishing and eating my own stock there and then in the middle of the sea.
And of course, a lot of your other fellow disc jockeys on Radio London, and now of course on Radio 1. Weren't they?
Yeah, most of them. Well, a lot of the disc jockeys today started on the ships in one way or another. Yeah.
Then of course the Pirates ended in 1967, and you went on BBC. How did that come about?
Well, they took us all on off the Pirates, and then that became sort of rat race, really, in a way. About 40 started. And so they whittled us down until they were happy with who they...
I seem to remember you started on Happening Sunday
that's
from
right.
there, and that seemed to disappear after a few weeks.
Well, they were still experimenting then, and that it went. And then luckily I got Junior Choice when it came back.
How did you come on to do Junior Choice?
Well, that was one which started about February. Somebody heard me reading a couple of request cards out and decided to give me an audition, and that was it.
Would you like to stay on sort of doing Junior Choice?
Oh, yeah, I like the kids' programs very much.
You wouldn't prefer to sort of have your own show like Tony Blackburn's something like that?
No.
You're quite happy doing Junior Choice?
Yeah.
What about the new commercial radio stations that are coming up soon? Do you sort of see these as any threat to Radio 1, or...?
Oh, they're going to be competition.
You think you're going to be better?
I don't know. I mean, competition is usually only good. It makes one have to pull one's socks up or think a bit more. Well, I can't say at the moment, but I think Radio 1 is pretty hard to beat whoever tries to start up against it. I'm not being complacent or anything, but at the moment, it's a pretty strong station. But of course, there'll be a lot of people who'll be switching on to commercial radio just for the, just to find out and have a listen to the novelty factor of it.
Going back to your Big L days, I seem to remember a character in your programmes called Myrtle. Where did Myrtle come from?
Well, I'm afraid she went down with the ship. Where'd she come from? Just a voice I heard a couple of times, and I thought it was rather a funny voice. So.
Do you think your days with the Pirates were important, or do you think there's something you'd rather forget about now?
Oh, no, very important, because they created us, they started us, has kept us as names. Very important.
And doing Junior Choice, of course, all the time, we don't really sort of hear who your own particular favourites are. Who are your own favourites?
Oh, a lot of the top 20. If I had my own choice of music, a lot would be more jazz orientated. I'm a very jazz lover. But really, a lot of stuff off albums too doesn't get enough play, and I can't play enough. And there's a lot to be heard on albums which you can't play on the radio.
And of course, when you're not on the radio yourself, who are your own particular favourite disc jockeys?
Kenny Everett's my favourite. Kenny Everett I like very much. I think Noel Evans is doing very well on the Breakfast Show. And I suppose those two. But I think Kenny is the funniest, the best there is. And Roscoe I enjoy, because he's the only real American disc jockey in this country.
And of course, you've just been doing Radio 1 Club live. Do you prefer this sort of programme, or do you prefer sitting in a studio?
There's no preference. It's just part of one's job, and I enjoy coming out to places and sitting and doing a live show. It's fun.
And what sort of places have you been to during your time with Radio 1 Club?
Oh, Scilly Isles, Orkneys, Great Yarmouth. You name it, I've been there. Next week I'm in Stranraer,
Yeah. Well, finally, can you just choose a record that we can play to end this short interview with?
Yeah, what one do I like? I like the Deodato record of the theme from 2001, which is Also sprach Zarathustra.
And finally, can you just end by saying your usual customary goodbye?
All right then, and to you all, it's bye!
Tonight from the North Middlesex Hospital, Edmonton, London, North 18. Your host is Ed Stewart.